CTV News with Matt Grillo.
Good evening. A manhunt in Berlin after a deadly attack at a Pride event has ended with a suspect shot and killed by police. According to a social media post from Berlin police, the operation was carried out at a garden complex on the west side of the city. They say the suspect ran towards officers while armed with a bladed weapon, prompting officers to shoot. The fire department attempted to resuscitate him, but he died at the scene.
In Berlin, aber auch in ganz Deutschland.
Police say the suspect rammed a car through Pride celebrations in Berlin on Saturday, leaving one woman dead and 29 others injured. The suspect then attacked the crowd with a type of blade, injuring more people. Hundreds of people gathered for a vigil at a public square in Berlin this afternoon. People were seen carrying pride flags and messages of condolences and support. Prime Minister Mark Carney is calling the attack, quote, horrific, saying in a post on X, no one should face hatred or violence because of who they are or who they love. He adds his thoughts are with the victims, their loved ones, and the community. And Prime Minister Mark Carney has called by-elections in 3 federal ridings on August 31st. Candidates will seek to replace former Conservative MP Richard Martel in the Quebec riding of Chicoutimi-Le Fjord. Martel resigned as an MP after being appointed to the Senate. The other race will be in the Toronto riding of Beaches East York to replace former Liberal MP Nate Erskine-Smith. The third by-election will be held in the BC riding of North Vancouver-Capilano, most recently represented by former Liberal MP and now Canada's ambassador to the European Union, Jonathan Wilkinson. And the Liberals currently hold a slim majority in the House of Commons and will need to win one of the by-elections to keep that. The Liberals have 172 seats, the Conservatives have 139, and the Bloc Québécois has 21. The NDP has 5 seats, while the Green Party has 1. There is 1 independent. 4 seats, which include those up for grabs in the by-elections, are vacant. Well, after decades of planning and years of construction, the Gordie Howe International Bridge is finally set to open on Monday, but there's still skepticism. Jeremy Charon reports.
The ribbon has been cut, the milestone marked with a Canadian celebration Friday. Officially opening the Gordie Howe Bridge to traffic is all that remains.
It's huge, not just as a structure, it's huge economically as well.
The bridge's opening will add a 5th crossing point to what is the busiest international trade corridor in North America. The Windsor-Detroit crossing accounts for about 1/3 of all trade between Canada and the U.S., about $1 billion a day.
And the amount of trade that flows at the Blue Water Bridge here in Sarnia, Point Edward, and in Windsor is vital to the Canadian economy. So, again, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed that the bridge actually opens, that is. History is a cause for concern here. This bridge's opening has been delayed several times. A scheduled ceremony last month was called off at the 11th hour by the Trump administration. The president wanted a new deal.
Given the rhetoric out of the White House in the last 24 hours on wildfires again and more tariffs, will this actually transpire? That is a big issue.
This weekend, in the final hours, there is hope, but caution too on both sides of the Detroit River.
I don't know how much influence our president will have on the opening of tomorrow, but I know that the American people are anxious for that to happen.
Businesses in Windsor hoping to benefit from a fresh flow of visitors, waiting with bated breath.
I keep saying I'm just going to believe it when I see it, but I am very hopeful that tomorrow's the day.
U.S. officials were uninvited from Friday's ceremony after Trump's latest tariff threats. This former U.S. ambassador and governor of Michigan was one of them.
This is a fabulous piece of architecture. It's a towering symbol of our friendship, and no amount of political rhetoric in Washington is going to change that.
The bridge has so far served as a symbol, though not a good one, an example rather of the continued tension between the countries. Monday's opening, some hope, can help turn a page. Jeremy Charon, CTV News, Ottawa.
Paramedics have a tentative deal with the province after more than 3 years without a collective agreement. The CSN represents 3,500 ambulance technicians. The details of the agreement will not be released until they have been presented to the workers in the coming days. Meantime, Quebec Premier Christine Fréchette thanked the negotiation team for their progress. Quebec provincial police were involved in a high-speed chase with the help of a helicopter in Montreal overnight. Police tried to stop a driver who allegedly committed several traffic violations on Highway 40. The driver finally pulled over in Saint-Michel and fled the scene with 3 other suspects. Montreal Police and Canine Unit joined the SQ in their search of the area. 3 suspects were caught, including 2 minors who face several charges. The search continues for the 4th suspect. A young man is recovering in hospital after being stabbed downtown just before 4 a.m. The 18-year-old was found on the corner of Saint Laurent Boulevard and Ontario Street. He was conscious when transported to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. No arrests have been made. Investigators are reviewing surveillance footage from the area. Well, the Sûreté du Québec is asking for the public's help in locating a person of interest in a murder. Police are looking for 41-year-old Philippe Benoit, resident of Shawinigan. He is 5 foot 5 inches tall and weighs 45 kilograms or 100 pounds. Police say he may have information after a body was found in a residence in Shawinigan. The SQ did not provide details about the victim. The body of a man in his 50s was found after he was reported missing while out on Lac Saint-Jean paddleboarding. The search began Saturday afternoon. SQ divers found the body overnight. An investigation into what happened is now underway. An investigation is underway after 2 bakeries were the target of vandalism overnight in Toronto. Both are Jewish-owned. As Beth McDonnell reports, the hate crime unit is investigating the incidents.
Shattered glass spills onto the sidewalk at Kiva's Bagel Bar, a Jewish-owned bakery at Yonge and St. Clair in Midtown Toronto, the result of overnight gunfire.
It happened at 1 in the morning. I heard 3 gunshots at 1 a.m. But having said that, I heard nothing after, no sirens, nothing. And then I wake up this morning and here's this whole thing with the police.
A second location at Steeles in Bathurst under the same name was also targeted. There, a front door window was broken. Both incidents are being investigated by police as possible hate-motivated crimes.
It feels very personal to me. I could have been in there. Or anybody in this neighborhood. It could have been daytime as opposed to nighttime.
This is where we come for our food, and we feel threatened and unsafe.
When it comes to hate-motivated crimes, Toronto police data shows the Jewish community is the most targeted group. In 2025, anti-Jewish incidents represented more than 80% of religiously motivated hate crimes. It's a phenomenon the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs says is increasing because of terrorism and at times sponsored by the Republic of Iran. Last month, police reported dozens of shootings are being carried out in gun-for-hire schemes at synagogues, Jewish schools, and the U.S. consulate. The center believes there is a correlation between conflict in the Middle East and violence here.
Nothing can justify crimes being perpetrated against Canadians on Canadian soil.
Officers say the investigation is in the early stages and the Guns and Gangs unit is involved. The connection for now, the incidents happened at the same local chain. It's not clear which shop was targeted first, exactly when overnight or why, although public safety is a central focus.
We're going to be increasing our police presence to conduct the investigation for what happened here. And you can also expect an increased presence of police around those locations.
I've spoken with the owner of the building. They are incredibly upset about what happened. I mean, this really shakes the foundation of the community.
Some local residents are fed up.
It's infuriating. This has got to stop in this city, and it's only going to stop when our government starts to clamp down on what's going on.
Police are urging anyone with information or video to come forward. Beth McDonnell, CTV News, Toronto.
St. Bruno is offering $100 to its citizens who give up their gasoline-powered gardening tools to go electric. It's part of the city's climate plan. Christine Long has the story.
St. Bruno is offering up to $100 per household to replace gas-powered gardening tools with electric ones. Tools like lawnmowers, trimmers, and leaf blowers. The city is doing this to encourage citizens to opt for more environmentally friendly ways. Resident Fred Steinley says he's considering it.
It's a good incentive for me to trade in mine, which is kind of old and looking to change, and if ever it's better for the environment, it's a choice I would make, yeah, of course.
Here's how it works. Before November 30th, residents can visit stbruno.ca to print and complete the financial assistance form. Then, drop off an eligible gasoline-powered gardening tool at the St. Bruno Eco Centre, with the tank emptied beforehand. The person in charge verifies the tool and stamps your form. Your new electric gardening tool has to be bought this year, and the city is encouraging residents to shop local. This program is part of St. Bruno's climate plan to reduce their carbon footprint.
It's a good thing. I think having an electric lawnmower, well, is good for the environment.
The city has set aside an annual budget of $10,000 for the entire program. The Union des Municipalités du Québec told CTV there's 2 other cities offering this kind of program. Christine Long, CTV News.
Wildfire activity remains high in Ontario, with over 160 active wildfires burning across the northern part of the province. Additional crews from Alberta have arrived in Thunder Bay to support ongoing firefighting efforts. Crews are working on extinguishing hotspots along the fire perimeter. They continue to build hose lines and patrol the area for any signs of fire activity. And in BC, 27 new fires started in the past 24 hours, in addition to the more than 100 already burning. Strong winds are driving many of them. Evacuation alerts and orders were expanded in some areas, including the Ander Creek and Peak Lake region. An official with the BC Wildfire Service says fire crews are facing challenging conditions. And raging wildfires in southwest France have forced the evacuation of 55,000 people overnight. As Marcus Moore reports, shifting wind gusts and hot conditions continue to complicate firefighting efforts.
This morning, wildfires raging in Spain and France turning deadly and forcing more than 300,000 people to evacuate. High temperatures, strong winds, and drought conditions fueling the fast-moving flames. In central Spain, more than 70,000 people fleeing what local officials have called the worst fires they have ever seen. A wildfire burning northwest of Valencia, Spain, claiming the life of a 78-year-old man. That fire now under control. And in France, more than 200,000 people evacuating in Gironde as wildfires burn more than 100,000 acres, an area 3 times the size of Paris. Workers at a nearby nursing home rushing residents away for their safety. Bordeaux, the heart of France's famed wine country and a popular tourist destination, cleared out by approaching flames. Americans Tammy and Brendan Hutchinson, living in a suburb of Bordeaux, among the evacuees.
It escalated pretty quickly. You could see the wind shift, and it really got thick smoke, and it was real, a lot of ash falling out of the sky.
More firefighters arriving as they evacuated.
When we were leaving Bordeaux, there were caravans of fire trucks and military. They are sending in reinforcements from Paris.
Tour de France race officials say they will shorten the distance by 1/3 on the last day so police can be diverted to assist regions in flames.
These are truly extreme conditions that are helping to fuel these flames. So intense, the fires create their own wind and move rapidly across the terrain. It's one of the reasons the fire burning near Bordeaux has been so dangerous and tricky to get ahead of. Marcus Moore, ABC News, London.
Well, back in Montreal, a young woman will soon be setting sail on a solo journey along the St. Lawrence River. Gwen Duval will travel from Montreal to Île-aux-Coudres, delivering letters and teaching people about the wonders of microscopic plankton. Here's Angela McKenzie.
It's a beautiful day on the water and a chance for Gwen Duval to prepare for her upcoming sailing adventure.
Connection that you can have with the water is something that I want people to look for, find.
Helping her from the dock is her mother, the woman who fostered her love of sailing pretty much from birth.
The first time she was on the boat, she was a very small baby. I think that about 4 years old, she was able to drive a boat. How do you say?
2 years ago, Duval completed a transatlantic sailboat race from Quebec to St. Malo, France, with an all-woman crew. Now, she's headed out on a solo journey aboard the Meaban, her wooden sail and rowboat powered only by wind and muscle. For a month, she'll combine her love of the river with science education and writing. On August 9th, she'll depart from the eastern tip of Montreal and sail 400 kilometers along the St. Lawrence. She plans to stop in at least 11 communities before reaching Île-aux-Coudres around September 15th, her final destination. A trained oceanographer, Duval will hold workshops at each stop, teaching about the plankton that feed the river's ecosystem.
There's something moving very fast. Pew, pew, pew.
With the help of a powerful microscope on loan from Curiosity, Duval will show people the microscopic organisms living in the water.
So plankton, there's some zooplankton, like those ones.
Making the invisible accessible to the average person.
We take some water and there's nothing in it, and then hop, we can watch it. I've seen fascination in the eyes of others, and this, I love it.
At her workshop, she's encouraging people to write letters about the river, which she'll hand deliver from one community to the next. Conditions could be challenging, even treacherous past Quebec City, but her mother says she's confident in her daughter's abilities.
She knows meteo, she knows the currents. She will not go if it's not the time to go.
You can follow Duval's adventure on her Instagram, Courrier du Fleuve, as in River Courier, charting a course to encourage others to protect the St. Lawrence.
When you feel it very strongly, the connection with the nature, you don't want to hurt it. You feel that you're part of a plankton world.
A mission she hopes will be smooth sailing. Angela Mackenzie, CTV News.
Let's have a look at weather now. Very warm day out there. 30 degrees in Montreal, 28 in Sherbrooke, 29 in Quebec City. Some more warm temperatures tomorrow. Sun and clouds in the morning with a chance of showers in the afternoon, a high of 28. We are expecting a rainy week. Showers expected on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday before things clear up with plenty of sunshine on Friday. After the break, a temporary pause between the U.S. and Iran.
I want to be crystal clear. The U.S. military, and I've verified this every which way, has everything that it needs to conduct this campaign as effectively as it needs to be.
The Trump administration pushes back on reports that their weapons stockpile is depleted. And cases of the measles reach a 35-year high in the U.S. There's a temporary pause in the fighting between the U.S. and Iran, but the White House says it's considering escalating military force against the country. Matt Rivers reports.
After 2 weeks of trading lethal strikes, a brief lull in the fighting between the U.S. and Iran, but tensions remain high in the region. Over the weekend, U.S. Central Command says it boarded a ship in the Arabian Sea on suspicion of violating the U.S. blockade of Iran before ultimately letting it go. This as the Houthis, an Iranian proxy group in Yemen, have opened a new front targeting Saudi oil exports, claiming they hit state-run oil operations in the Saudi kingdom. They've also declared a maritime blockade on Saudi-linked shipping in the Red Sea's Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which serves as a vital trade route. Last week, President Trump met with his national security team to discuss next steps, and on Friday said he was considering a massive attack on Iran. But a new report from the New York Times says the president is backing off because the U.S. weapons stockpile in the Middle East is depleted.
We should never have gotten into this senseless war, and we should end it now. I'm glad that they're not going to unload again with a big military strike. That would just drag us more deeply into this conflict.
The Trump administration pushing back on the reporting. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Walls, telling NBC,
I want to be crystal clear. The U.S. military, and I've verified this every which way, has everything that it needs to conduct this campaign as effectively as it needs to be. And I have to tell you, the people that are leaking this nonsense deserve to be in jail.
The White House tells ABC News the president prefers a diplomatic solution with Iran, but retains all options if attacks continue on the U.S. or allies in the Strait of Hormuz. On Tuesday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to meet with President Trump, their first face-to-face since February, where he then argued for joint U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran just days before the start of the war. Matt Rivers, ABC News, Amman, Jordan.
Several U.S. states are dealing with measles outbreaks. The record number of cases is now at a 30-year high. Michael Serapio with more on those numbers and why Canada is also facing a challenge.
This is an infection that still kills about 100,000 people on the planet every year.
For infectious diseases specialist Dr. Isaac Bogosh, they are numbers that cannot be ignored. 2,318 measles cases in the United States, confirmed by that country's Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and reported Friday. More cases than all of last year, more than all measles cases reported in the U.S. from 2000 to 2024.
I would be shocked if we did not lose our measles elimination status.
And if the U.S. did, it would join Canada, which lost its status in 2025 after reporting more than 5,000 cases. As for this year, the Public Health Agency of Canada says 1,102 measles cases have been reported, with 1,020 cases confirmed as of last week and 82 probable. The vast majority of those infected being people who were unvaccinated or under-vaccinated, with Canada falling well under the goal of getting 90 to 95% of people immunized.
Because the virus that causes measles is so aggressive and so easily transmissible, you really need that very high rate of vaccination.
Only 82 to 85% of children now get immunized against the measles in Canada, a lower rate than a generation ago, with misinformation on social media being a factor, access to primary care another, and a ripple effect from the pandemic.
We also can't ignore people's mistrust of government and public health, possibly from overreach during the pandemic.
And Dr. Bogosh says this all creates a public health challenge that needs to be addressed. And for some context, back in 2006, when more than 90% of Canadian children were immunized against the measles, in that year, only 16 cases were reported.
Just ahead, he received a Just for Laughs Legacy Award on Friday. We speak with former JFL president Bruce Hills. And people are coming from far to this Canadian theater to catch the blockbuster of the summer.
I'm Adrian Gabriel. Tomorrow on CTV National News. The crisis in Canada's hospitals leading to an ER exodus.
They're carrying the burden of healthcare.
The shocking number of doctors leaving the front lines and why. Tomorrow on CTV National News and ctvnews.ca.
Congratulations!
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 Congratulations! Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Congratulations, Bruce Hills!
You deserve that, man. It's about time.
Congratulations on your award and all your hard work for Just for Laughs.
And while you obviously have mad skills as a producer, presenter, etc., what sets you apart from so many is you love comedy. It is a deep, deep love. It's almost unsettling or unnatural.
We have had many conversations about great comedy, and you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who knows more about comedy than Bruce.
He's kind of like the Lauren Michaels / Mitzi Shore of Just for Laughs.
You're such a staple in the comedy world, and you're just someone who we all desperately want the approval of.
Some big names paying tribute to Bruce Hills, who received the Just for Laughs Legacy Award on Friday. Hills is the former president of the Just for Laughs Festival, and he joins us now. Hi, Bruce. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So tell us, what was that moment like on Friday?
You know, it's kind of an outer-body experience, because within these really nice tributes I got from some of my comedy friends, there were photos for over 40 years, and they just brought back memories. And I was sitting there going, wow, that was a long journey, one that I'm so proud of, and so proud of all the people that helped us take us there, because a lot of them were in the room, and it was a great thing to share with them, because obviously it was a team effort. It was never a solo effort on my side.
You really climbed the ranks over decades at Just for Laughs. Talk to us about your journey at Just for Laughs.
Well, I started off, thanks to Andy Nolman, getting a little driving job, and I drove The Artist for the first couple of years, and I think saw that I had a little bit more. They gave me a job as a publicist, and then soon after that, I went on the road for decades looking for comedians all over the world. So that's where I had the incredible opportunity to find people like Wanda Sykes and Margaret Cho and Dave Chappelle, and many others, and it was incredibly rewarding. And then we tried to create the most impactful place in the world for them in Montreal every summer, where we not only could entertain the fans, but give comedians the launch pad to stardom.
And as you moved up the ranks, you just spoke about it there, the festival got bigger and bigger, attracting stars, giving other people their starts. What was that like, being a part of that and being a part of those important moments in people's careers?
So satisfying, and to see, you know, someone in a movie, you know, a year after being at JFL, or in the case of Tim Allen, in a nightclub at Just for Laughs, and a year and a half, the star of Home Improvement, a story that came out of JFL. That was fantastic, but it was also great to see international comics come to Montreal, not just the big Americans, Brits, Aussies, nonverbal acts from all over the world do well, and see what that did for their careers. That was so satisfying.
What's your proudest achievement with Just for Laughs?
Look, we as an incredible team, not often with a huge team, established this French-Canadian city, which, you think about it, as the Mecca of comedy. Not only in French and nonverbal stuff, but in English. There was a better opportunity to be found in Montreal than in the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. That's how crazy an environment we had all created, and you know, we're very, very proud of that, as was everyone in the room that I did it with.
You know, there was some concern for the festival just recently, right? A few years ago. It's back. You know, it's back with stars. What do you think of JFL now?
I think, you know, it was a bit of a struggle off the top, but I'm very impressed with what they pulled off this summer. I think the caliber of stars that they secured. I mean, listen, we tried to get David Letterman for 4 decades. They did. And that was very impressive. And I think the depth of the festival this year, so much more impressive. I do feel a lot of confidence and hope that they can pull it back to, you know, close to what we established in the years past. But they're really on the right track, in my opinion. I'm very proud of the effort they made.
I'm curious, is it still the festival where a lot of comedians get their start like we saw, you know, in the 80s, 90s, some decades ago, or has it changed? Has it evolved? Has JFL changed at all?
Well, listen, there were a lot of new faces performing this week, hoping for a career break, and there was a lot of important people in the room, but the business is very different. You know, you don't really go from, you know, 10 years in a nightclub to a TV show. It's pretty immediate these days, because with the social media and with comics becoming very skilled at selling themselves by themselves, gatekeepers are less and less important. So it's very important for festivals like Just for Laughs to continue to play an important part in the journey, because you need, if you start with stars and you treat them well, all comics, when they turn into stars, you hope to keep the relationship alive. You know, you don't want to just break Jimmy Fallon. You want Jimmy Fallon to come back. You want Jimmy Fallon to talk about JFL on his talk show like he does today, with such love for the festival and admiration for the festival, and supports the festival.
From what I can see, you're still very busy these days. Tell us what you're up to now.
Well, I started my own little company, you know, Bruce Hills Entertainment. Big surprise on the name. And I'm focused in sort of 3 categories. I co-pro concerts across Canada with my partners MRG. We have Josh Johnson coming to town at the Olympia, which announced a 4th show on Friday. And in addition to that, I work with a company called Attraction on all my TV projects. So I've got a bunch of shows in development, both in the sports and comedy space. And, you know, I've already produced a special for Rick Mercer, and going to work with him on more projects. In addition to some consulting business I have, I've been working with the Second City and lots of comedians looking to break that I'm, you know, consulting with, and some other clients here and there.
Bruce, congratulations again, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, listen, it was a real pleasure, and if people still want to see some comedy before the week is over, tonight, Mae Martin has another show at 8:30 with just some tickets released just a moment ago.
The Odyssey is the biggest blockbuster of the summer so far. The film is meant to be watched in a very specific format, but there are only a few theaters that can show it. Alison Bamford reports.
Film has to go in the projector upside down.
A winding maze of film, threaded, then inspected before every screening.
I'm going to triple check my work and make sure that everything's where it's supposed to be.
Ryan Halota is getting ready for the first run of the day of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey.
After years of war,
the mythic action-adventure was shot in a way that's never been done before, using brand new technology.
It's the very first feature-length movie that was shot from start to finish, every scene with an IMAX film camera.
Regina's Kramer IMAX Theatre at the Saskatchewan Science Centre is one of only 9 theatres in Canada and 41 worldwide, screening the movie in 70mm IMAX.
This really is that format that Mr. Nolan intended his movie to be seen in.
The movie is nearly 3 hours long and is projected from this print of film, which weighs over 600 pounds and all stretched out would be more than 17 kilometers long. But it's what's on the screen that's packing people into IMAX theaters.
Massive screen, better sound. It makes for a lot better experience than a regular theater, I think.
I tried getting a screening earlier, but they were all selling out.
Bob Parker drove an hour from Moose Jaw just to see it.
I read the Odyssey back in when I was in university, and I know it's a great story, and we just thought to see it all on the big screen would be, I think, really worth coming.
The Regina Theatre has hosted viewers from Manitoba, Ontario, BC, and the United States, as far away as Texas. People making their own real-life Odyssey just to see the film.
Essentially, every show has been sold out.
Screenings have been extended into late August, and Halota doesn't expect demand to die down for this year's summer blockbuster. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Regina.
Well, in case you missed it, doctors in Montreal have successfully operated on a woman's brain while she was pregnant. It was a very risky procedure. Sweeta Rassi has the story.
Before and then after.
These brain scans of Zupa Nakayisimatego are a reminder just how quickly life can change. It all began January of 2025. She was working out at the gym when she felt a sudden pop in her head.
I was very dizzy. I couldn't see properly.
She was in severe pain. Her husband took her to the hospital where she found out she had suffered a stroke, which caused bleeding in her brain. Dr. Marie-Christine Bruno at the Montreal Neurological Institute says her condition was rare.
The incidence is about 1 or 2 per 100,000 population.
Nakayisimatego needed surgery, but there was also something else. She was nearly 6 months pregnant. Doctors gave her the option to wait until after she gave birth, but if left untreated, it could lead to a coma or even death. So she decided to go ahead with the surgery.
I had a feeling that my baby would be okay.
Call it a mother's intuition because she was right. After a 10-hour surgery, Nakayisimatego recovered well, and months later, she gave birth to a baby girl. Dr. Brunet says it took a lot of doctors to pull it off, including specialists from the Montreal Children's Hospital.
And they were here on a standby just in case something would happen and we would have to deliver the baby prematurely.
Operating on a pregnant patient is not something Dr. Brunet does often, but for Nakayisimatego, there's no doubt she had the right doctor on her side.
She did this incredible thing and she saved 2 lives.
And after a scary start for both mom and baby, they now have the most important gift anyone could ask for, their health. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
Well, coffee drinkers rejoice. The American Heart Association says people can probably drink more than they already do. We have this report.
Be it steamed, dripped, or just plain black, Canadians love their coffee.
For Brian?
Industry analysts estimate more than 70% of Canadians drink the caffeinated brew at least once a day, others more. But how much should Canadians be drinking before coffee becomes a health risk?
I'm not sure, probably 1 or 2.
I'd say maybe 2, because more than 2 it just sort of gives jitters.
Like 3 or 4. I would say that's what I drink every day.
Well, for coffee lovers, some good news from the American Heart Association, which said this past week when it comes to cardiovascular health, up to 5 cups of coffee a day is safe for most adults.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And it's not just safe, it could also be beneficial.
It appears that the risks of things like heart attack, stroke, and diabetes in particular may, if anything, be actually lower among those that consume caffeinated coffee.
That said, what is safe is very individual, based on metabolism, general health, and other factors. And this guideline is only for coffee.
Those data should not be extrapolated to energy drinks.
Health Canada's guidelines are different, saying for adults the maximum daily intake should be no more than 400 milligrams or 4 cups. For women who are pregnant, trying to get pregnant, or breastfeeding, 300 milligrams or 3 cups. Now, the American guideline does not suggest to drink coffee if you don't already, but if you do, you have reason now to justify a 5th cup. Michael Serapio, CTV News, Ottawa.
After the break, taking a pause on development.
Progress and development is going to happen. We just hope that it does so properly, effectively.
A moratorium for a small Quebec town as it assesses its infrastructure.
The CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
Increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVMontreal.ca, your home for news.
Development in the charming Quebec village of Wakefield is on hold. It's because its wastewater system is at capacity. As Leah Larocque reports, Wakefield and neighboring Chelsea have been unable to keep up with the pace of their growing communities.
Wakefield is known for its old charm.
It's quaint and has a story to tell.
John Batten runs the bakery and has seen the village change over time.
Progress and development is going to happen. We just hope that it does so properly, effectively.
And now there will be no new growth. There is a moratorium or pause on new development in Wakefield because the wastewater system is nearing capacity.
I think it's an excellent idea, and we have to look ahead.
Things pointed to the fact that we're maybe reaching capacity. It seems like it's time for us to dredge the sediment.
Mayor Guillaume Lamoureux says it's also about planning for future growth before the infrastructure reaches its limit.
Trying to maintain this healthy buffer of you have a treatment capacity. You don't want to be to the brim, right?
Yeah.
You want to have this healthy buffer where you're able to treat your input properly.
Neighboring Chelsea also hit the brakes on growth because their water and sewer system couldn't keep up with the pace of new development.
Just when you drive into Chelsea, it's all these, when you're by the overpass, it's all these cookie cutter houses.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't suit the area.
The two municipalities have seen a steady population growth in recent years. The pause here in Wakefield could last up to 2 years.
That's probably due to improper planning in some ways already. Can it be remedied? Yes, with proper coordination and collaboration.
Residents like Denise Giroux hoping any growth has a plan and is done right.
The issue of how important it is to properly plan development and create a vision of what you want and need, and not just allow anything to be developed simply because it ticks boxes in a list of some kind.
Leah Larocque, CTV News.
Transit officers in Toronto will have the authority to arrest people for possessing drugs. It's a test for other cities across the country dealing with increased cases of drug use and violence on transit systems. Kamal Karamali reports.
In the middle of those busy morning commutes, through the rush of transit passengers, the problem of drug addiction weighing on the city of Toronto is hard to miss.
Obviously, the situation is visible and it's bad.
Earlier this year, Ontario announced it'll give transit officers new powers, the rare authority to issue tickets and arrest passengers for possession of illegal drugs.
The new provincial regulation appearing to move forward in full force here in Ontario, now being watched closely by other provinces who are also dealing with surging cases of drug use on their public transit systems.
In Edmonton, cases of violence and drug use on transit are escalating, with the city now exploring all options to curb it.
The recent move by the Ontario government is something that we're watching extremely closely on the municipal level here in Alberta.
On one hand, I can see it could expedite taking care of issues on transit. But on the flip side, I have more questions than answers.
Some of those questions involve whether special constables will receive the appropriate training. The Toronto Transit Commission said that's exactly what it's working on.
Less enforcement on public transit.
But that's not good enough for some transit riders who believe the move risks targeting vulnerable people.
We're very concerned that this will lead to racial profiling, criminalization of poverty, and just generally more people being targeted.
Instead, pushing the province to put more resources into addiction treatment.
There's no evidence to show that a law enforcement is the way to deal successfully with people in crisis.
In Vancouver, the only Canadian city that has a dedicated police force for transit, but is still dealing with open drug use on its transit network. Local politicians still believe in their approach and that Ontario is on the right track.
If that's the approach that Toronto's taking, I think it makes sense, and I'm surprised actually that they didn't have something like that in place already.
With transit bodies across Ontario continuing to roll out the new measures this summer. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
On the pitch last night, CF Montreal hosted Inter Miami. Fans did not get to see star Lionel Messi. He was given time off after playing the entire World Cup final. In the second half, Inter Miami forward Herman Bertarami was taken off the field in an ambulance after he collided with another player. Bertarami was discharged from hospital and will return home to recover. At that point, the match was still scoreless, but on a penalty kick following the collision, Luis Suarez beats the keeper. That would be the winning goal. Inter Miami wins 1-0. Just ahead, an unlikely rescue.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing at first. I was pretty shocked.
How a BC couple stumble upon and help save a great horned owl.
For breaking news and local news that matters to you, download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca.
Finally, the story of what happened after a BC couple discovered a wild animal stuck hanging upside down on their fence, and the race to save a majestic visitor. Here's Adam Sawatsky.
When she first noticed something stuck on her fence, Kaylin Lindsay thought a neighbor's chicken had escaped, until she looked closer.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing at first. I was pretty shocked.
After Kaylin raced inside to wake up her fiancé, Maxwell Hone thought he was still dreaming.
My hair was like kind of all in a rat's nest. I was still in my pajamas, and I came outside and I was like, whoa, oh my God.
It was a great horned owl, likely stuck upside down after flying fast to catch a squirrel.
Somehow, like a freak accident of both of her legs getting caught in between the fence posts, and then she just kind of hung there and was stuck.
Maxwell rushed to rescue the owl, and after freeing her from the fence, placed the bird safely on the ground.
I felt heartbreak for her. It's not every day that an owl gets stuck in a fence.
While they waited for the wildlife hospital to open, the owl didn't move, except for what looked like shivers, so Maxwell gently cradled the bird in a towel.
Try to give it some body heat, because if it had been there for several hours, the poor thing was probably pretty cold.
Maxwell and Kaylin wondered if this was the same bird they'd seen around their neighborhood, who they'd named Floki, after the Marvel character who also had horns on his head, who they'd only observed as a predator before.
Its instinct is to hunt squirrels and rabbits and things like that, but it's also, quite cute. A really heartfelt moment of getting to get so close to her.
It was not unlike other experiences the couple had had with wild animals. Maxwell's an Emmy Award-winning nature filmmaker, and Kaylin captures the behind-the-scenes footage.
but we never really have the chance to step in and rescue them. So it was a really great experience.
Especially after they placed Floki in a box to keep her feeling safe during the drive to the animal hospital, where staff told them that after the bird was rehabilitated, she'd be released back into the forest behind their home.
We share this land with feathered and the furry critters around us, so just look out for them when they're in need is really important.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.
Beautiful animal. Let's take a final look at weather now. A really nice day out there. 30 degrees in Montreal. Similar temps elsewhere in the province. 28 in Sherbrooke and 29 in Quebec City. A warm start to your work week tomorrow. A mix of sun and clouds in the morning, but a chance of showers in the afternoon, a high of 28. We will see some rain this week. Showers expected on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday before the sun comes back out on Friday. And that's it for us. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at 11:30. Have a great evening.